观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看《洋厨房》，我是刘烨。世界美味与你共尝。经常做菜的人都知道，每天决定做什么样的菜呢，是一件挺纠结的事情，而且这一点都不比选外卖来的简单。不过呢，如果您想偷个懒的话，不妨可以多多关注我们的卖家秀，杨大厨呢会分享他最新研制的美食，一起来看看吧。
Prep meals can be 100% part of the modern day kitchen. They'll save you time, they'll save you money, and help you make better food choices. So it's time to get out the pen and paper and get planning.
My motto is a little prep goes a long way. A well-planned week can help you avoid making bad food choices based on emotion or convenience. This week's episode is all about proving my motto and showing you how to get the best out of your prepped meals. We're kicking things off with this Mexican-style soup. It's fresh, it's funky, and it is full of goodness and flavor. I'm going to breathe new life into some leftover rice with some sweet chili sauce. And these falafels are a paradigm of prepped meals for people on the move. This week, we're rediscovering fast food with innovative Limerick chef Paul Williams. And we'll wrap things up with another 5-minute challenge.
I'm doing two-handed cooking right now. It's getting interesting.
All that and lots more coming up on Donal's Meals in Minutes.
Because I've prepped my meals in advance, I knew that I'd have some leftover chicken today. So I want to show you a really quick and simple Mexican-style chicken and sweet corn soup.
Get some chicken stock into a saucepan on a high heat. When it starts to boil, add the sweet corn, thinly sliced red onion, and leftover shredded chicken. Let it warm through and then remove from the heat. To make the salsa, start with the juice of a lime, a good glug of olive oil, and a handful of chopped coriander, stalks and all. Drop in a clove of crushed garlic, finely chopped green chilies, season with salt, and give it all a good mix through. Ladle some of the soup into a bowl and nestle in some slices of avocado. Get in a good dollop of the salsa and top it off with tortilla chips, another sprinkle of sea salt, a wedge of lime, and a sprig of coriander. Serve it straight to the table, warm, spicy, and fresh.
Okay, if you've got some friends coming over, this cheeky little supper is the perfect example of how you can get ahead of yourself, leaving you lots more time to spend with your buddies. To start things off, we're going to create a little bit of a marinade or sauce that wraps around these chicken thighs. And it starts off in a bowl with some ginger and some garlic. So about a thumb-sized piece of ginger goes in here. We're going to grate it up quite nice and finely, just like the garlic. So it's a combination between garlic and the ginger that is going to give us the aromatics in this sauce. So this goes straight into the bowl. To this mixture, we are going in there with a tablespoon of fish sauce. It's that salty element I'm looking for. It's a heady saltiness you get from fish sauce. A bit of rice wine goes in here, about a tablespoon. There's an acidity to this, which will really help to tenderize the chicken. And then just to coat it and allow it to brown up in the oven, about a tablespoon of rapeseed oil. Give that all a good mix up just to combine it. And now look, if you have the time, this is a great one to marinate overnight. Let all those flavours permeate into the chicken. But to be perfectly honest, you can cook it straight off the bat like this. To this mixture, I've gone in there with some chicken thighs, which have the skin on and the bone in. And once it's nicely coated like this, you could stick it in the fridge to marinate, but I'm going to stick it straight into a baking tin lined with some parchment paper. All that sauce goes in there as well. And you want to stick these so that they are skin side up, so you get a really nice crispy skin. These are now going to go into the oven. They're going to cook for 35 minutes at 220 degrees Celsius. It gives us the perfect amount of time to make up a nice fried rice.
While that cooks away in the oven, grab a sharp knife and finely slice a shallot. Remove the woody ends of some lemongrass, peel off the outer layer, and chop into a fine dice. Now take half a red chilli and give it a good chop, seeds and all. Don't forget about the chicken. After about 35 minutes, it should be ready for the chili sauce.
This is what we're after, crispy chicken thighs that the only thing left to do to is to brush with some sweet chili sauce. When this goes into the oven, it gives you this sort of sticky and sweet exterior to the chicken thighs that is truly spectacular. Right, this goes back into the oven for 10 minutes, which will give us just enough time to cook off the rice. Next thing to do is get some oil in that pan and get it nice and hot. For this fried rice, it comes together super quick. You can feel that it's nice and hot, so I'm going to get straight in there with our aromatics. That's what you're looking for, that sizzle in the pan. So just mix that through and you will get the most electric aromas in the kitchen the minute you get them into the pan. Once they've softened down, straight in there with the rice. Remember, this is cold rice going into the pan. If you add hot rice, it'll start to clump together and it'll overcook. As soon as you have the rice in the pan, it's time to get in there with some flavour. We've got some fish sauce for some saltiness, a little drop of some sesame oil for that kind of nutty element in there. No more than that. You can actually overpower a dish like this with sesame oil, so just a tiny little drop will do the job. And then for a little touch of acidity, a squeeze of some lime juice. Give it all a stir through, and you're just looking for that lime juice and any of the liquid that's in there just to kind of reduce out. Smells so good, and I can smell our chili jam chicken is pretty much good to go, so I'm going to grab that out of the oven. That little bit of extra effort of brushing these chicken thighs makes all the difference. I mean, look at the texture on the outside now. You've got crispiness, but you've also got stickiness and a gorgeous glossiness too. Fried rice is good to go, so I'm going to serve this up. I like to just stick a few spoonfuls of this into a bowl, stick your chicken on top, I would say 2 proportion, give it a last little squeeze of some lime juice. A little bit of coriander over the top. I cannot help myself. I just love that sort of fresh aromatic hit you get from coriander. And then for a tiny little crunch, we've got some toasted cashew nuts. And now, the moment of truth. You can even hear how crispy that chicken is. I'm going to get it with some of the rice, some of the coriander. You know what? That as a dish is just something that I really want to eat. It's crispy, it's aromatic, it's salty, and it's one that if you make use out of that prepped ingredient, life just gets a little bit simpler.
Fast food is synonymous with unhealthy convenience meals, but Chef Paul Williams used to work in the Fat Duck, one of the best restaurants in the world, and is now on a mission to challenge those ideals and make fast food great once again.
I went to the Fat Duck to learn about cooking because it was very science-based and there was amazing ingredients, and while I was there it was great, but I'm much more interested in kind of the casual dining where you meet your customer nearly every day and you get to know them. My thoughts when I opened Canteen about 4.5 years ago was, why can't fast food be healthy? It's mostly office workers or urban workers here. Some have breakfast and lunch here. Why can't they leave feeling that they had a good meal, a quick meal, and a healthy meal? I've tried to find the best ingredients that I can locally. So, you know, I wouldn't put anything on the menu that I wouldn't eat myself or I wouldn't have in my home cupboard. You know, if it's organic sourdough bread or the new urban leaf. We're getting their leaves for about 2 months now, and they've a great philosophy of growing within the city environment. So they've a greenhouse out there and they're growing lettuces for us, they're going to be growing tomatoes, and it's just really tasty compared to the stuff we were getting. It's so fresh, they pick it the day before and they bring it into us, and it's all local and it's all organic. The kitchen really lends itself to the concept of fast food, so we just cook it and we serve it to the customers. It didn't really matter what the size of the kitchen was, it just maybe your ambition to what you could get out of the kitchen. It's limited in us a way, but it's been an advantage that we kind of can only cook immediately. Every dish we put on the menu has to be cooked within 8 to 10 minutes. Like the wraps are all made within 3 or 4 minutes, so the customer can come in, get the wrap made fresh there and leave within 5 or 6 minutes. We're in the process of a 12-week build for our new premises, and so that will move us from 15 seats to about 35 seats. And we'll hope to bring the concept to evening food so that one of the customers can finish work or come in and get takeaway, something fresh, healthy, and bring it home or have it there.
We need more people like Paul. I love his vision and his attitude towards making great tasting fast food healthy and accessible.
I am always on the go, and no 2 days are the same, which can be a bit tricky when it comes to making healthy food choices. Now, meal preparation is a great way to find more balance in my diet and ultimately eat better.
Get half the chickpeas into a food processor. Then add in the breadcrumbs, tahini and an egg. Cumin and coriander are going to add great flavour here, and it starts to come alive when you give it all a whiz. When the mixture's smooth, throw in the spring onions, remaining chickpeas, season with salt and pepper and give it all a good mix. Once it comes together, form into small balls. Fry them in a little oil on a medium heat for 5 minutes on each side. You want them to be crispy and golden. When they're ready, serve them up with a salad of your choice and a spoonful of yogurt dressing.
Okay, meal prep doesn't necessarily mean you have to cook all your meals in advance. Instead, you can focus on a few core ingredients that you can cook up and ultimately save yourself time during the week. First things first is the pickling liquid for this smacked cucumber salad. It sounds a bit strange, but it will be worthwhile, and the pickling liquid actually helps to break down the cucumber alongside the smacking action that, of course, we'll need as well. It's about 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar to about 3 tablespoons of sugar. You're looking for that nice balance of sweetness and acidity. Give it all a good whisk up, and basically you know when to stop whisking once that sugar has been completely dissolved. Right, pickling liquid is looking good, nice and clear, and now we need to talk about smacking that cucumber. This is a bit wild, but stick with me. What you're looking for is a gentle smack that will give you tender cucumber but doesn't break it down completely. So it's finding the tender love in a job like this. Right, this is looking good, so take off the end on either side. We're going to take it in half and then in half again. And I just want to get rid of any of those excess seeds, because once it goes into that pickling liquid, I don't want the seeds and the liquid in the center of the cucumber to actually dilute the pickling liquid. When it comes to prepped meals and things you can get prepared in advance, this is a prime example, because this will happily sit in the fridge for up to 5 days and actually benefits from that time it marinates.
Once you've removed all the pulp, slice into battens and get it straight into a bowl with the pickling liquid. Season it and give it a good toss through.
Now, you could have the cucumber just like this, allow it to marinate down, and you'll have gorgeous little slivers of cucumber. But we're going to go the extra mile, and we're going to make this into a sort of pickled salad. So grab up your knife. I have some Chinese cabbage, and you just want to shred up nice little thin slices of the cabbage here. With a hearty ingredient like this, it can take the pickling liquid quite well, and it'll happily sit alongside the cucumber while it pickles away. Cabbage goes in, some bean sprouts for a tiny bit of crunch factor, and just about a tablespoon of sesame seeds. Get your hands in there, give it all a good mix through. You can leave it in the fridge for about 15 minutes to 30 minutes, but it'll sit quite happily for 5 days. This needs a little bit of cling film and to go into the fridge. With a recipe like this, where you have a prepped salad, your rice is cooked off, the only thing that you really need to worry about cooking right on the moment is your salmon. So we're going to make up a marinade for it. For this marinade, I have some miso paste. Now, this is the core ingredient. There's a few different varieties you can get. You can get a white one or you can get a red one just like this. I particularly like the colour the red one gives, and I'm going to use about a tablespoon of this into our marinade. We're also going to add a good glug of some rice wine in here for the acidity. We've got a little hit of nuttiness from some toasted sesame oil. And then a nice salty hit from some light soy sauce. Now, I'm using light soy sauce here because I don't want to overpower the dish. You want that salty element and that little bit of a dark hit. But essentially, you're just looking for light flavours here. Straight in here, we're going in there with 2 darns of salmon. And you just want to coat them completely And the marinade that's left over, that's going to get put in the tray as well. And I quite like the fact that as it cooks off, it gets a little bit caramelized and deeper in flavour. So this looks pretty good. Salmon goes straight on the tray. And just pour over any of that excess marinade. You can see that really rich red colour that miso paste gives. Okay. This now goes into the oven at 200 degrees Celsius and it's going to cook off for about 15 minutes just until that salmon is cooked all the way through. Salmon is out of the oven. It looks fantastic. It's got that gorgeous sort of caramelized exterior. And now it's time to pull this together. I have my little salad, which has been marinating, and it has taken on all those sorts of fresh flavours. I have some brown rice, and essentially these are your prepped ingredients. These are the things you can have in advance. Brown rice is cooked off, you have your salad marinated and ready to go. So, to make this into a lovely dish, we're going to serve it up on a platter. Grab up a generous portion of that brown sticky rice. The great thing about cooking off rice in advance is that you can have it in the fridge for up to about 5 days. Take up some of those marinated cucumber batons, serve that hot salmon over the top. One of the great elements of this dish is that not only is it delicious hot like this, but make a double batch of it and it works extremely well eaten cold the next day. Now, I have made pad thai many times. However, I have never made it in 5 minutes. But that's what today's challenge is all about. So I have 5 minutes on the clock. We are going to cook from start to finish with these 5 minutes. Let's click it. We're good to go. Right, first things first, we need to make up this paste. It all happens very quickly and it really results in a gorgeous paste that creates the base flavour for this gorgeous pad thai. Now, we've got a lump of coriander, a jungle of coriander going in here. You want to go hefty on it and don't be afraid to use the stems in here. You want the leaves and the stems and really you're looking for that really fragrant flavour from it. To that, we're going in here with some garlic and some chilli. Now, be warned, the chilli you put in here is spicy, so take out the seeds if you don't want too much spice, but we're just going to kind of help ourselves in the food processor by slicing down these things. So just the garlic and all that is looking good. Last ingredient in here is a little bit of lime zest. Now, this is not a traditional pad thai recipe, but it is one that's going to result in lovely fragrance in the base of these flavours. So get that lime zest in here, and not only are we going to use the lime zest, we are also going to use the juice. And really, a pad thai is all about the balance of flavours. So we are 1 minute away, we're 1 minute down, so I need to crack on. We need to get this paste done. So get this straight over to our food processor. Give it a good blitz up. While this is blitzing up, get your pan on nice and high on heat. With any sort of Asian ingredients like this, you're trying to make sure that you get a really hot pan. If you don't have that heat in the pan, it's just going to stew. So it's all about the high heat. Give this another little blitz through. We want a nice smooth paste. Oil goes into the pan. I'm doing two-handed cooking right now. It's getting interesting. I'm not feeling the pressure too much. We are 3 minutes and a half away left. We've got our paste looking gorgeous at this point. Oil is just about coming up to temperature. I'm going to grab up some of our ingredients for the contents of the veggies. Can you feel like I'm getting a bit of out of breath? We need our knife and we need our speed peeler. So I'm using one of these julienne peelers. These are a really handy, speedy thing to have in the kitchen. We're using, in terms of veggies, we're using courgette and we're using carrot. I'm doing this for one portion, so you want nice, fine strips of carrot here. Now, there's a little bit of waste that goes on in here, but you know what? This is speedy cooking, so we're looking for every last little drop of veggies in here. So let's check on our oil, which is smoking. This is exactly where you want it to be. Get in there with that paste, use it all, and make sure that it gets completely emptied. Smell is instant. As soon as it hits the oil, you get hit with the flavour. And one thing to bear in mind is that chili can be quite strong. So I'm going to stick on my fan up here. Get that blitzing off. Get in there with your veggies. All those aromatic flavours, you want to start breaking it down. And we're also going to add some lime juice in just a second. So I'm slicing that up. Give it a quick stir in the pan. Make sure that you get it nicely coated. The instant you get that smell in the pan, you start getting those wonderful flavours coming alive. This is looking great. Next thing to go into the pan, with 2 minutes to go, is my rice noodles. This is my prepped ingredient. You can have these cold in the fridge and ready to go. Get them straight in there. We're going to get them coated with a little bit of lime juice. Now, you might notice that the courgette and carrot need a little bit longer, but to be honest, you know, for a quick cooking dish like this, I quite like that little bit of crunch in there. Lime juice goes in. Be hefty with the limes. You want loads of juice in there, and a great way of getting loads of juice out there is to roll your lime on a board. So give it a good squeeze. We're going to go in there with a little bit of tamarind paste. It's going to give you that acidity. We're going in there with a touch of sugar. I'm feeling the pressure now. We've only got 1 minute and 22 seconds left. A little bit of fish sauce. And essentially, we want to wok these noodles to bring all those flavours together. It's about a tablespoon or so of that fish sauce. So, listen, we've got the balance of flavours. We've got sweetness, we've got saltiness from the fish sauce. We've got that gorgeous acidity from the lime juice. And then think about all those wonderful flavours. I'm whacking up the heat here, making sure that it's really, really going to cook down nice and quickly here. I'm feeling a little bit nervous because we only have 1 minute left on the timer, so this is looking pretty good. Next ingredient in is 1 large free-range egg. Just going to let that simmer away. Make sure that you get all that liquid out before you add in the egg, otherwise you will end up with a sloppy mess. And nobody wants that in the kitchen. Give this a quick mix up. Now, the egg is not essential, but does finish off this pad thai quite nicely. Give that a last stir, and you can see all that steam and all that liquid has just evaporated a little bit. Get straight in there with the egg. I've got 30 seconds left. I tell you, this is where you want to get excited in the kitchen. Give that a quick scramble. What you're essentially looking for is to cook out that egg and essentially coat your noodles in it. Other ingredients, we're going to start getting ready to serve up with 12 seconds to go. I'm hoping this egg is going to cook through. I think we're in business. It's looking good. Straight out of the pan with 6 seconds to go. Gonna get that in there. Made a slight mess, but that's all right. This is 5-minute cooking. That is time. That is time. I nearly made it. I've made a complete and absolute mess, but I'm gonna finish it off anyway. Bean sprouts, some peanuts over the top. Oh man, the smell is absolutely gorgeous. And a last little hit of some coriander. You can't finish it without that gorgeous coriander. That, my friends, is a meal in just about 5 minutes. The steak is ready to go in the pan. Now, it is at a smoking point. Do not be afraid of your pan at this point. This is the temperature you need to pan fry the steak really quickly. Straight in the pan, you're looking for that sizzle, which is exactly what we've got. Move it around the pan ever so slightly at this stage and just get it nicely coated in a touch of that oil. And then the tendency is when you're wok frying or you're pan frying like this with meat is to move it around really quickly. I always move it around at the start, then leave it to sit just to catch a little bit, and then move it around again. If you do keep moving it around, it just lowers the temperature in the pan and it'll start to stew. As that steak cooks down, this salad comes together in the exact same time as it cooks. So, grab up a bowl. We're going to build a nice little parcel of ingredients that the steak is essentially going to top. These rice noodles are cooked off. They're really simple to make, and all you've got to do is plunge them into boiling water. It takes about a minute or so for them to go tender. And once they are, just drain them and rinse them under some cold water. To top these noodles, we have some bean sprouts. That nice crunch from the bean sprouts. I'm also going to grab up some cucumber, but before I do, I need to give some attention to this steak. It's looking pretty good right now, and it smells so gorgeous. The key thing here is actually not to overcook, so I'm actually going to take this out, straight out. It took, what, 2-3 minutes? Just until the steak is nice and tender. And now it's all about building that final touch to the salad. So we've got the bean sprouts, we've got the rice noodles. I'm going to take some cucumber and using one of these little peelers, just take nice thin little strips of cucumber. So just take those little cucumbers and turn them into nice curls in and around this dish. Okay, this is looking good. We're getting there. Last little touch is some finely sliced shallots. Some spring onions will do if you can't get shallots, but it just gives you that final little hum of onion in there. We're going to top it with those little slivers of beef and then give it a good drizzle of that dressing just around those noodles. Make sure to be generous with that dressing because as you eat this, you want to toss through all those ingredients.
今天呢，为大家带来的美食，不知道您还满意吗？感谢您收看本期的洋厨房，下周同一时间我们 不见不散。